In part 1 of my video, I explained to you step by step how to complete a narrative map. Now, I chose the setting as the forest and the main character as my badger. So thinking about the work that you did last week on the curriculum board, think about the setting that you chose, think about the character you chose, and the most popular story idea that your family voted on. And it is that story idea that you are going to use to create your own narrative story map. Now I'm going to explain to you the next step of the planning process. You will now have completed your narrative map, plotting out the 7 points in your story. And you see down the side of the narrative map how you have got positive numbers and negative numbers. Now these are going to relate to your fantastics, so I'll explain a little bit further what step 2 is. On the second page of the narrative map document that we sent through, you will find all of the fantastics that we use at school during our Write Stuff lessons. So we have the feeling, the noticing, the asking, the touching, the action, the smelling, the taste, imagining, and the checking or hearing fantastic. Once you have completed the steps in your narrative plan, we are then going to plot the positive and negative fantastics. So the next step in completing your narrative map is to plot some of the fantastics onto the map. Now, I suggest that you choose 3 to 4 different fantastics that you are going to concentrate on during your story. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, you can use 4 or 5 or even every single fantastic. It is up to you. So I have chosen to use the noticing fantastic when I am thinking about describing my setting. So I've decided that the noticing fantastic is going to be quite a positive point in the story. And what I've done is underneath I have created a little box where I've done a little brainstorm of some vocabulary that I think would be useful. So I've written, the wind is whispering through the trees, there are tall towering trees, sun peeping through the leaves crunching underfoot like crisps in a packet. So what you need to try to do when you are brainstorming vocabulary linked to your fantastics is you need to try to challenge yourself. Could you use a simile? Could you use a double adjective? Could you use some repetition? So the next fantastic that I have decided to put onto my narrative map is the feeling fantastic. Now, I've decided to use this fantastic when I would go on to describe how the badger feels as he falls down, down, down through the hole. Now, I think that's going to be quite a negative impact on the character. So I've put it at about a -7 because I think that Badger is going to feel terribly anxious, worried and frightened about what is happening. And he's falling uncontrollably, going down, down, down. Now you'll notice that I've managed to squeeze in some repetition into my brainstorming, and I've also used several adjectives. I wonder if you could choose better adjectives and upscale my vocabulary. The next fantastic which I have decided to include on my map is the action fantastic, and you will see that I have positioned it as more of a positive impact on the story. So let's have a look more closely at what I have written. So I'm thinking about the time that the badger has realised he's fallen into the strange zoo. So I'm thinking that I would include vocabulary to explain about him peering around cautiously, trying to find out where he is. Animals caged up in cramped steel grey pens, and then he begins digging furiously at the squelchy, thick mud. Now you can see that as well as using verbs, I've tried to use ambitious adverbs like cautiously and furiously to bring the action more to life. The final fantastic that I am going to use is I'm going to use the feeling fantastic again, but this time instead of plotting it as a negative impact, I've put it as a very positive impact. This is because at the end of the story, I believe that Badger is going to be elated and over the moon to have so many new friends. And he's feeling as lucky as a pot of treasure at the end of a rainbow. By following this step-by-step video, you will end up with a completed narrative map where you have got some fantastic ideas for how to develop your story, and you've gone the extra mile by plotting in your fantastics and brainstorming your vocabulary. So now you are all set for next week, where we will ask you to begin to write your wonderful narrative. Good luck and have fun.